toll roads are what usually help fund other road projects across the state of Texas. In DFW, there are 5 toll roads that are owned, operated, and maintained by the not-for-profit organization, the North Texas Tollway Authority. Now, a lot of the stuff that they make from tolls does go directly back into those 5 toll roads, but I would not be surprised if a lot of their stuff either gets donated out to charity or taken back to the Texas Department of Transportation. What's going on, everyone? My name's Cool Titanium 68, and in our first Automotive Wednesday video of 2025, we're going to be talking about the newest toll road in North DFW, the Sam Rayburn Tollway. Let's roll the intro. Now, before I say anything, it is not the newest toll road in DFW. We'll talk about the new one in a couple weeks, because there's this one, and then there's one that came out opened in 2016, and then the latest one opened up in 2018. We'll talk about that stuff later. I digress. The Sam Rayburn Tollway is a 25-mile controlled access toll road that starts on the northeast corner of Grapevine that serves the cities of Capel, Lewisville, Carrollton, The Colony, Frisco, Plano, Allen, and then ending in McKinney at US Highway 75. This highway acts as a bypass of State Highway 121 along the southeast side, I believe I've already said that, of Lewisville. Now, why did they do that? Well, kind of like what Preston Road is today, and why, even though that is designated as a state highway, it's not a full-size Texas highway. It's because there's just too much development on there. But a lot of this planning started back in 1999. So at that time, the Texas Department of Transportation was looking to expand State Highway 121, but again, with how much development was alongside State Highway 121 at the time, they couldn't really do anything about it. So what they did is they decided to build this. They built a set of frontage roads going all the way around Lewisville and ending at Farm to Market 2281, which today is known as Old Denton Road, which ends technically all the way far down, supposedly. That is really far. Okay. So even though this is mostly frontage roads, there are 2 of the main things that we still used that still were used today that we didn't modify. That is the bridges going over the Trinity River floodplain, and that is the first grade separated intersection at Merchant and Huffines Boulevard. Now, this would ultimately be widened when another project would happen, but for a few years, this was the main project. Now, this project itself, to build out the Sam Rayburn Tollway, was split into 5 segments. The first segment, which opened in May of 2006, basically built the main lanes on what was then State Highway 121. It's basically sat between that split point in Grapevine and going all the way to Old Denton Road, and that's where it stopped at that point, because the stuff was already there, so that's where we'll stop. Also included in this section was a 5-level stacked interchange at I-35 East. Now, however, they did not build out the 35 East interchange to where it is now. So it was technically a 5-level stacked interchange, because you had 35 East as level 1, level 2 was the service roads, level 3 was Sam Rayburn, level 4 was the southwestbound exit onto southeastbound 35, and then the southeastbound exit from 35 onto southwestbound 121, that's level 5. Now, for this interchange, it wouldn't be until about mid-2017 when they would finish this. This is in 2018, so this is a better picture. But from here, they would then build out everything coming from the north side of 121. So they initially built stuff from the south side of 121 to connect people up from George Bush, so they could take that. But then stuff from southbound, from the north side of 35, as people started moving up into Lewisville and Corinth and all that stuff. That is when they started to build that. Now, segment 2, which opened on September 1st, 2008, would extend the tollway all the way to Hillcrest Road in Frisco. Now, the reason why I say Hillcrest Road in Frisco is because at the time, the other portion of that highway was Razor Boulevard at that exit. Now, while they were building that, and let's take a look at 2009, after they built it, this is what's supposed to be Razor Boulevard. It was not built out. And even if we found something that was closer to when it was built, nothing really connected that other than like a dirt road that led you down here. Yeah, this was all dirt. I say that because I've ridden around here. This was dirt. But I digress. Razor Boulevard is the road leading south from Hillcrest into Plano. North is what Hillcrest is, because in Dallas, it used to be Ohio Road, which is what this road is here. This is Ohio, and this would lead you all the way up into, I believe it ends at Coit, because it does cross Hillcrest, but Ohio going into Dallas turns into Hillcrest. That's why this is Hillcrest, and then it leads you directly north, I believe, stopping at Main Street, just south of that Brinkman Ranch. As they were building out the second segment, the Texas Department of Transportation was looking to contract out the rest of what was currently built and what would be built out for the Sam Rayburn Tollway. The first bid we had found out about was from a Spanish firm, Cintra. Now, this company does operate the North Tarrant Express as well as the LBJ Techspress corridors in Tarrant and Dallas County, respectively. Now, they had made a $2.8 billion 50-year deal to operate, manage, and then finish building out the Sam Rayburn Tollway. However, this was a controversial thing for a lot of residents because of 3 reasons. Number 1, Segment 1 had already been funded by using taxpayer money, meaning the DOT had already built that out. So it's like, why would you have to pay for that? The second reason was the fact that it was 50 years for that contract. I mean, yes, they still operate like I think it's a 52-year contract for the North Tarrant Express and the LBJ Techspress, but those will be transitioned to the Texas Department of Transportation. It's not like this where it's a full-fledged toll road. Those 2 corridors are toll lanes on an interstate. But the third reason was the fact that the North Texas Tollway Authority was barred from even bidding. So after about I think it was 3 or 4 months of backlash saying, why is the NTTA not allowed to say anything about this? The Texas Department of Transportation allowed the NTTA to bid, and their bid basically said that they put $3.3 billion of road funding in, but again, this funding was also based off of traffic counts that differed from Cintra. Ultimately, in June, they went with the North Texas Tollway Authority, and they would build out the rest of the segments. And the third segment, which opened in phases in 2009, would expand the tollway to Hardin Boulevard. Now, Hardin Boulevard is actually the road that is just before the 75 exit. The exit for 75 right here. But it was actually opened up in 2 phases. So the first phase actually ended at right here at Custer. And this would open up on September 1st of 2009. As you can see, there was still being worked on. And then about 4 weeks after it opened up to here, that is where Hardin Boulevard would open up to, which is right here. This is not Hardin, this is something else. So this is Hardin right here. This is where it opened up to, and then they would build this out. Now, also at this time, it looks like they were still working on the interchange, but I think they were trying to extend it over. Which then brings us to the 4th segment, which actually just encompasses that entire interchange. The US 75 interchange, again, this had been starting work since about December of 2008, right here. And as you can tell, I mean, they pretty much built all that stuff here, and this would at least these 4 bridges here would open up in 2010. But this whole thing would actually open up in March of 2011, as you could probably see here. And I'm guessing the reason why it didn't fully open up at that point is because they also built 4 wraparounds and a lot more other connecting roads on top of the service road. But beforehand, this is what it looked like. you would have one side, like one set of lanes going over, and then you'd have a left. You make a left to go north, or you have to turn around and go on that second set of lanes to go south. And it's the same thing here. You have to turn around here to go up. So seems like a little bit of a bottleneck for them having to do that. Now, the fifth and last segment would then be the interchange at the Dallas North Tollway. Now, taking a look at, let's say, about 2008, this is what the interchange looked like. And we'll actually scoot over to like maybe 2009, we got a clearer one. So at this time, it was a 3-level intersection. I don't want to say interchange because there's no real like bridges and stuff. I don't know if having bridges does or doesn't consider itself an interchange or not. I digress. The first layer was all of the service roads, which is Dallas Parkway and State Highway 121. Again, Dallas Parkway is the service roads for Dallas North Tollway. State Highway 121 is the service roads for Sam Rayburn. So what they did, I mean, you could probably tell here, it's a typical 5-level interchange. What they did is they added 2 levels of bridges going over both highways to connect them back onto Dallas North Tollway and State Highway 121, negating the need to exit and then get onto State Highway 121, which was a problem because if you're coming off the tollway and going eastbound, you did have to sit at Parkwood before you get back on. So this intersection most likely got really busy. And at least here, you could, if you're coming in from Preston, you have an easy access to get in, especially because if you're trying to get on the tollway from Preston, the next entrance is not until after Parkwood. So you would either have to enter here or you'd have to turn right and then exit just before Gaylord. So again, made it a lot easier to do that. Now, because the Sam Rayburn Tollway is still a relatively new highway, not much has really gone on along this highway. I'm not going to say there's a lot, because there's probably been like accidents and stuff that everyone's been like, oh my gosh, this happened and that happened. But when it comes to like road expansions and stuff, not much has really happened, mainly because the whole corridor's already been built out. Now, the last big road project to happen along the Sam Rayburn Tollway was their 4th lane project. Now, this also happened at the same time that they were widening George Bush, because beforehand they had widened the Dallas North Tollway to 4 lanes in Plano, and then south of that to about Beltline. And at that time, they were looking to completely widen the George Bush to 4 lanes outside of the eastern part, east of State Highway 78. That still only needs 3. But I digress. Starting in January 2019, this project would add a 4th lane relatively in the median of the Sam Rayburn Tollway, costing about $200 million. A lot of this would go into the open grass median while building a brand new concrete median to separate traffic. So at some places they did do that, and then I know there's one place actually where the original grade separated intersection was, that instead of doing that, what they did is, instead of expanding into the middle, they would actually expand onto, what they did is the westbound, I would say the northeastbound would expand inwards. So they would still, they would use the inward stuff here, but it looks like they didn't have enough space to make it farther in here. So they decided to expand the southwestbound lanes on the outside. So that's where they'll add these lanes. And they did not widen these bridges here because when you get up to 35, it's still a 3-lane highway before you exit here. Now, I do believe that they, I don't remember if they like remarked this at all. I'm not too sure. I think they remarked parts of this. Yes, they did. Okay. Let me double. I don't remember if they like. I'm trying to remember if they okay. So what they did is they remarked some of the roads here. So when they had the 4th lane in, they still had the 2 lanes here that would exit for 35, but then they had a separate lane that would have you exit for, well, either State Highway 121 or Stemmons Freeway. So you can just go here. So I didn't remember if they had completely rebuilt the bridges over Trinity, which I would have been surprised to do that because that would have costed a lot more money. But it looks like they did just repaint some of the lanes there for that. Now, another project that they did outside of that 4th lane project wasn't that big of a project, but it did keep a decent chunk of 120 of the Sam Rayburn Tollway west of 35 closed, at least 1 lane in each direction closed for several months. So eastbound Sam Rayburn Tollway between Denton Tap and then the eastern one, and the entrance ramp from MacArthur had 1 lane closed to rebuild the outer concrete barrier. So I believe that would be... Hold on, let me see if I can try and find this better. Ugh, sorry, my throat's ugh. So at that point, they were trying to rebuild the... I think they were rebuilding the MacArthur Bridge at that point. Oh no, this is probably westbound. Let me take a look at westbound. Yeah, so and I'm pretty much both of them. So westbound, they had it closed pretty much from the entrance right at Lake Vista, all the way to... Oh man, I didn't need to open up a second one. All the way to the entrance for MacArthur. So it looks like... Actually, no, this was the entrance for Denton Tap is where they had that closed too. I remember that because I know they were trying to rebuild the bridge for MacArthur. And then I know just after that, from the entrance... And then I know... actually, just before the first entrance after the 121 splits. So let me show y'all, because I think I wrote this down wrong. So what they did is they were rebuilding the outer concrete barriers at MacArthur, and then on eastbound, and then tap on eastbound SRT. So they would have this closed off. They still had this entrance open, but they had the Denton Tap entrance closed, and they would still keep that open. And this actually wouldn't end until right around here, just before Lake Vista Drive. Eastbound, it would start here. They would rebuild the MacArthur Bridge, and then it would end just after, well, actually just before this toll collector, so that you could exit onto Denton Tap. But that's pretty much the project. They were just rebuilding some of those outer barriers because it had been here for that long. As we wrap up, toll roads are kind of essential to the Dallas-Fort Worth highway network. Again, unlike the tollways and some of our major highways, our 5 toll roads in DFW are technically not a part of the Texas highway system, and therefore not subject to funding for the Texas Department of Transportation. So, for example, on the Dallas North Tollway, where they're extending it northward, there is no funding from the DOT. And same thing with George Bush. They're going to be adding a new segment. No funding from the DOT. And on some of the other ones, there's plans to expand them. No funding from the DOT. It is all going to be directly coming from the NTTA. But with that, we're going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video over the Sam Rayburn Tollway. I'm sorry that this didn't come out earlier. The first time I tried to record this, it corrupted the back half of this recording. So hopefully this should work better. But if you don't want to miss any more of our automotive videos as well as our mountain bike and aviation videos, make sure you guys hit that bell icon. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. And also in the description, if you guys want to watch any of our weather broadcasts, go check out our TikTok. same username as this. Other than that, hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.